You're muted.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to this very special gathering, the virtual launch of A Hidden Light, written by Bukola Ayinde. Thank you to everyone in the room who have already joined. Thank you for joining us from different parts of Nigeria and beyond. Today is not simply about launching a book, it's about launching a story about family, a story about love, a story about misunderstanding, growth, acceptance, and hope. And perhaps most importantly, it is a story that invites us all to look beyond what we see on the surface and discover the light that may be hidden within another person. So, wherever you're joining us from, I want to encourage you to settle in, participate, listen, and enjoy this beautiful celebration with us. Once again, you're warmly welcome to the virtual launch of A Hidden Light. My name is Ibukun Oyeniyi, and I will be your host for this evening. So, what makes today's launch particularly meaningful is that we're not going to look at this book from only one perspective. We will hear from three different voices. We'll hear from a professional who works with people and families. We'll hear from someone who knows what it means to grow up alongside a sibling on the autistic spectrum. And we'll also hear directly from an adult who is on the autistic spectrum. Together, these perspectives will help us explore the story from different angles. But before we hear from them, we need to meet the person who brought this story to life in person of Bukola Ayinde. Our author, Bukola Ayinde, is a writer, an advocate, and founder of Philippians 4:13 Foundation, as well as Diary of a Special Needs Mom. Diary of a Special Needs Mom Initiative, I beg your pardon, an organization that is committed to advocacy, support, and inclusion of persons with disabilities in the community. Through her writing and work, she has consistently sought to encourage greater understanding of disability and the experiences of families living with disability. In case you're not aware, Bukala has written six storybooks before now and two other books. Her books include My Name is Nimi. And one fun fact about My Name is Nimi is that it has been translated into six different languages, including a coloring book. So if you do not have it, you should get it already. Our second book is titled Nimi's Birthday Party. The third is My Sister is Special. The fourth, Peter is Different. The fifth is The Bravest Dog. The title of the sixth is The Gods Are Strange, which is a play. And some other books from our authors include Naked and Not Ashamed, a 30-day journal of a special needs parenting journey, and two, They Live Happily Ever After the End. Today, Bukola Inde adds another chapter to that work with the launch of A Hidden Light. This book is our invitation to readers to see differently, understand more deeply, and recognize the possibilities that can sometimes be hidden beneath the things we think we already understand. Please join me this evening as we welcome the author of A Hidden Light, Bukola Ainde. Bukola, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, IBK. I'm glad to be
Yeah.
here.
All right. So, Bukola, before we hear from our reviewers and guests, we would love to hear directly from you. Essentially, I'd like to know what inspired you to write the book A Hidden Light.
Thank you very much. So my inspiration comes from different angles. Firstly, I'm a mom to a beautiful girl living with cerebral palsy. And I've also been able to, I've had the privilege of seeing other families, who are parenting children with special needs, and I've seen that there are different angles to which parents come, either in families due to shame. Some parents may hide their children who have special needs. People, do not want to associate with persons with disability because of, the wrong narrative. And there's also the angle of the siblings, which we often overlook. Most parents focus on, oh, the child with special needs, but they don't understand, the aspects of the sibling of the child with special needs. So I was inspired also because I've had different families say, is there really something worth seeing in a child that has special needs? Is there more to just caring for a child with special needs? And I'm saying, look within. There is a light in every child. Look within, So that is, I'm trying to focus here and say there are so many themes in the book, which I would also talk about later. But my inspiration, comes from my own personal journey of having parenting a child with special needs and seeing other parents and seeing the misconceptions in our community about persons living with autism and other disabilities. So that inspired me to write A Hidden Light. You're muted.
I apologize. Thank you very much, Nicola. And I wanted to ask you other questions, but I think you already touched on it with respect to the different things that might be coming in. And I think that speaks to what you'd like us to take away from here, what perspectives you'd like us to view the story from. And I think one of the beautiful things about writing is that as an author, you can start with an idea, but the moment it lands in the hand of each reader, then we go away, the story begins to live in different ways. And I believe that that is what we're going to be taking away from here this evening. Now, we're going to be exploring it right about now with our first reviewer, who's going to be giving us a sibling's perspective of this story. Our first perspective is a very personal one, like I said. Sometimes when we talk about autism and disability, we focus primarily on the child and the parents. But there are other people whose lives are deeply affected by the journey, and those are the siblings. Growing up with a sibling who has autism can come with its own experiences, emotions, questions, as well as responsibilities. So today we have the privilege of hearing from someone who understands that experience personally. Toyin Oduni is an author, an advocate, and a sibling of a person on the autism spectrum. Toyin, thank you so much for joining us this evening. You have the floor to give
Hi,
us a brief review. Hello, Toyin. So
how
you
are
have the
you? Hi,
floor. Please
everybody.
give us a brief review of the book A Hidden Light.
Okay, so I think I have to start by saying, wow, what a book! Like I read it in one sitting, and as a writer, I have to say that, of course, like it followed the exact steps of like writing a book and everything, had all like the rules like ticked and everything, but as a reader, like getting into the story and even seeing myself in that story was amazing. I feel like it showed a lot of special needs about special needs in Nigeria, especially special needs like families in Nigeria, the aspect of the stigma, the whole prayers thing, and also the fact about siblings. You know how like which I will still speak about later on, but I think it was a very amazing book, and I really cannot wait to actually like get it for a few of like my fellow siblings, because I feel there are lessons that we need to learn from there. One of it is that you have to, even as much as parents think that they know like so much, siblings also have like a say in their siblings' life, which I also speak on like as you go on. But I really think like, it was an amazing work, and it really showed a lot about special needs in Nigeria, and also it gave a lot of lessons in the book. So it was a really amazing book. I loved it.
Thank you very much, Toy. That's quite
Thank
insightful.
you.
So you said a lot of there are other things that you like to get into. You have the floor. Please, let's hear you. So please go into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking about the sibling perspective, I like the fact that the sibling was very was okay. Let me talk about the aspect of friendship, which is something that really touched me in the book, because I have a sibling with autism. He's 25 now, and then when you hear from other siblings that they're always scared about letting friends into their houses, and then how they're always like, okay, I don't know, I have to explain my siblings condition to some people, which I even had to even do like last month to my friend that was coming over to my house, and I had to explain that, okay, sometimes my brother does this, and so like I really love the fact that Mrs. Aide explored that in her book, how he was very scared about telling his friend about it, and also the fact that he was able to confide in his friend, and his friend was very supportive. I think that sometimes we forget about how about the support system that we have as siblings, because they are the ones that are there to, like, of course, when parents don't understand, they're always there that to hear us out. And that was something I saw in Shego and Andrew's friendship, which was very good. And I'll talk about the aspect of the parents, where one of the parents didn't want the child out and one of the parents wanted the child out. It showed a lot about sorry so it showed a lot about how some parents are very, one of them is ready to, like, okay, push for, okay, this child has to be better, while one is still kind of scared. That's something that happens in Nigeria a lot. So I really think the book like mirrors a lot about like autism in Nigeria, like especially in Nigeria, because you find that, and also it's part about like, okay, how you have to look for different I like the fact that she explored that people go from different what's the word, looking for different cures. Like he found out in the book that he wanted to use magic, wanted to use a cure, and then he finally found something. So it was really funny at that, because like in Nigeria, when you find out somebody has special needs, I think the first of like you first go to the pastor, because we're a very heavily spiritualized country. So everybody, once something is out of the norm, you are going to your maker to ask how far. So it really showed a lot about that, and I loved it. And I think one aspect that is still very touching is the fact that the boy, the main character, decided that he was going to take the role as a parent, which many of us do, and he was going to find help for his sister, because sometimes parents actually need a boost. Like I can't remember how many times I've told my mom that, okay, Toby needs to do this, Toby needs to do that. She, of course, like maybe she doesn't know, or she's just scared. Sometimes she just needs that boost. And I like the fact that Miss Aide spoke about that the boy had to do a lot for his sister, and it just shows that siblings are actually the best advocates, really. So yeah, that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toyin. That was quite insightful.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello.
Okay. Ibuku.
Okay.
Okay. You can
Okay,
go
I hear you
ahead.
now.
Okay, you
Okay.
can hear me. All right, awesome. So, yeah, thank you, Toyin, for that insightful session. I have a few
Thank you.
questions for you. So,
Alrighty.
in chapter 5, my first question will be this. In chapter 5 of the book, A Hidden Light, when Shegun made a wish for his sister, I don't know if you've ever been in that position when you wished you had a magic wand or something that you could perform magic or find a cure for autism. Can you share about that?
Okay, so I would say that I was very seen in Andrew's character. Like all of the things that he had gone through or he had wanted to do is something I had wanted to do also. I'll say yes. My brother is currently home, and I think he came home on Thursday last week, and up to yesterday, I just thought about it. That's God, I beg. Can autism just end? And it's not just a thing. Of course, I love my brother the way he is. Like he has some strength and all of that, but just some things I know that he's missing. For example, of course, I have friends that I can call on. I can be on the phone for hours talking. Even like, of course, like relationship and all of that, and something I wish my brother had. It's just the aspect of like wanting a better life for him. So yes, there are moments that of course like it comes and goes, but I feel like yes I have, and if I thought I had a cure, I think 50% of me would want to like cure autism in everybody, not just my brother, because I know that of course there are some strengths, but it's just some things that he's just missing that I'll just like, okay, what if? And sometimes I just wonder like what's going through his head. Like I can't really hear you. Like, are you thinking of me and everything? So yeah, I wish there was actually a cure, but
You
yeah,
know, I can literally hear it in your voice. I can see it. Wow. Thank you for sharing on that.
thank
So
you.
if you had a wish on parents and people generally, what would you like them to understand about, siblings of persons with special needs? So it's you're saying, what
So
would you
I
like them
think
to understand about you, for example, with respect to your
okay.
relationship to, yeah, this person's?
Okay, so I will break it down like, okay, let's say for my parents, I would love them to understand that sometimes I am not my brother's parents. So I think sometimes my mom forgets because I'm so active at home that she forgets that, okay, I'm not Toby's mom. So sometimes I just have to like chip it in sometimes that, okay, even as much as I love doing this, I love my brother, I am not his parent, and sometimes I just need a break. Yeah. So that's something I really love, like parents to know, not just like my parents like of siblings with special needs, because um parents of special needs parents, because it's something that bothers a lot of people. That's why you find out like some parents giving, let's say, 13-year-old parental responsibilities, like, okay, you have to cook for your brother. Like that person is still a child. You have to make sure that the child also grows up, and then also resentment, like they don't have resentment. For my friends, I like them to understand that sometimes like um it can get really overwhelming sometimes to just be in that role, and sometimes I just want, not in the aspect of you just giving advice, because I know that there's nothing that you can do about it. I mean, you can't come to my house and make sure like my brother does not have autism. Like you can just like sometimes not rely on the right words to say, or just maybe like just pray and just give me a hug. I think that's what I really want people to know, like at least maybe my friends. And for the public to understand that siblings actually go through a lot. They're the ones that make sure that everything is okay with their sibling. Like for me, example now, I have to make sure that okay, Toby has his bath. I have to make sure that he eats and everything. And this is not just because, like, of course, my parents can't do it, but because I know that my mom is getting old. Yeah, my parents are getting old, so I need to be able to step in sometimes. So, I think that's what really I want people to understand about us, that we are very strong, but at the same time, sometimes we feel forgotten. Sometimes we feel like we feel overwhelmed, or sometimes we feel sad about our sibling, like the fact that he is not growing up the way a typical child should grow up. So yeah, those are the things I would want people to really understand. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. So I have two more questions, but I'm just going to take them as one because of time.
Okay. Okay.
So in chapter 18, we saw Shegun, the main character, speaking up for a fellow student who was being bullied. How would you say being a sibling to Toby has shaped your personality? One. Then two, what would you like to say to another sibling of a child with special needs, particularly autism?
Okay, so let me start with the first one. So I would say being a sibling has, in a typical sibling has changed my life, because now I'm more outspoken. So I'll speak on the character traits that is more like stronger. I'll say that's patience, because you cannot have a special needs child and not be patient. Like there's some things that you just have to, your child has not said the first word. I mean, yeah, your child has not said the first word. You keep on hoping, you keep on waiting, or maybe you tell your child to do something, keeps on doing the wrong thing. Patient, but like for Andrew, I think it has made me more outspoken because I'm a very shy person. I'm introverted. Like, um, I only speak through like my books. Like people that know me know that okay, I don't really talk so much. But the minute that you come for my brother, I would quote unquote change it for you. There's no way because you cannot do that because you can't fight for yourself, of course, unfortunately. But it has me. So I'll speak of an incident really quickly when we're trying to cross the road and then Toby is really overwhelmed with road, so he doesn't know whether to look left and right. So I was trying to hold him. I'm like, okay, I was trying to also teach him. And then this bystander is like, you know, go look road. Your sister they tell you that, and then his child just came into. I'm like, please, I beg, I did not ask you. And then normally I would not do that, but it was the fact that he was being very rude to Toby, and then the fact that he could not mind his own business. That's another thing. So I feel like I can relate to Shagri a lot, and I feel like it's something that a lot of siblings do. Like even find out that the only thing that I know that siblings really struggle with is like being violent. Because I know there's some siblings that if you come for their own sibling, they will fight you physically, and this is something I can't do because I don't want them to beat me. But in talking in talking like talking about it, like it's something that I know that I've seen the traits in me. And even like luckily my friends are not they're not people that are um that speak against my brother. I've never had that incident where my friend is speaking against like my brother. No, that's never happened, and I'm very lucky for that. But for I would say like people that have come for him, I think they've received their own share of like the bashing. So yeah, and the second one, what I would love to tell a sibling, I think I would just say you're not you're not at fault. Don't blame yourself for something that is in God's hands because you're probably thinking that oh, okay, um if this will maybe this will have happened to me, maybe if I was a second born or something like that, or you're not at fault. Secondly, I would say to you, take care of yourself. Do not carry the roles like on your head because I know that you want to do a lot, but don't be so quick to do so much and then burn out because you will burn out. There's something called emotional burnout that you will get tired of you understanding people and then you will lash out at people. So make sure that you know how much you can take and you take breaks as much as possible. I take breaks all the time. Like every month I go for a movie dates the whole day. I don't talk to anybody. I don't call my parents. I don't text anybody. That's just for me. That's for me refilling my cup. And I'll say to another sibling concerning your parents, I'll say that just take it easy on them. Sometimes I still look at my parents and I wonder what's going through their head. You know, like African parents, they had this pick up. They don't say anything that is bothering them. They rather just Cora in that just snacks. So I feel like try to encourage your parents once in a while. Tell them that it's going to be okay. You telling them that it's going to at least like, oh, if my child feels this way, I should also feel this way. So try to be there for them and try to maybe just encourage them once in a while. If your family is faith based, like yeah, heavy on faith, you can also pray for them. And I'll also say, like I've said, take breaks and yeah, try to find to be close to your sibling. In the book, Mr. Ide spoke about how Tommy liked to call her, and then Shegun and Andrew had also helped taking part of the activity, trying to play with her. So please also try to build a bond with your sibling. Yeah, even if he doesn't have friends, like they should also be a friend. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say at the top of my head. So yeah,
That's that's incredibly important. Thank you so much, Tony.
thank
Thank you for
you.
sharing your perspective. I think that your perspective reminds us of the fact that when disability enters into a home, it touches more than one person. It's not just the person directly involved, not only the parents, it's everybody. There are siblings who are watching, learning, adjusting, and sometimes carrying emotions that may not always be expressed. Thank you again for
Exactly.
giving voice to that experience. And
Thank
I mean,
you.
beyond the words that you were saying, we could hear it with every fiber. And this is
Oh,
what yeah, we could hear
thank
it.
you.
Um, so this is where we round up on your own session and takes us to the next reviewer. Um, so, thank you everybody who is still on the call. Thank you for joining us. If you're enjoying this, just put your favorite emoji in the chat room. Whatever is staying with you, you can just, put whatever stood out for you during Tony's session. Please put it in the comment section. We'd like to hear it. Thank you for staying still with us. And so here I would like to welcome our next reviewer. And this is a perspective that is especially important. Too often conversations about autism happen around autistic people rather than with them. We're talking about them rather than talking with them. So today we have an adult on the spectrum who is joining us to share their thoughts about a hidden light. Remy Olutimei is an award-winning voice-over actor and a person on the autism spectrum. Remy, thank you so much for being here this evening. You
The
have the
pleasure is mine.
floor. Yeah, you have the floor to give your review about the book, A Hidden Light.
A hidden light for me, um, it made plain a lot of things that I can confidently point at and recognize them to be support, whether it was direct or indirect. Um, and it also reminded me of the kind of roles that people need to play in society. It may not be obvious, but the most critical adult who got things going was the science teacher. He did not drive them away. He did not say, "Is this what you are coming to school to do?" No. He carefully assessed what it was the children were really looking for, and he just gave them guidance. He didn't hold their hand and tell them, "This is how you're going to do it." He just gave them guidance. The next is when they handle the bully. When they handle the bullies, people bullying the stammerer. Um, so the way I look at it is, if you can't help, if you can't help directly, then really it's not your business. If your help is not needed or not asked for, then fine, it's not your business. Leave it. But if it is clear that you can help, then it is your business. Then it's your business. I myself, I don't like bullies. So when I saw that, it felt the thing is that so long as somebody has demonstrated interest in your well-being, it gives a sort of courage to you to do more, to be better. The Mr. and Mrs. Idowu, I have seen more than a handful of people like that, where you regard the child as a wound, you know, as opposed to something as opposed to just being the child, you know. Um, what would they say? They are talking. And it's fine. Let them talk. Are they telling the one inside their house? Don't worry. If you hear the one inside their house, you'll be grateful for the one inside your house. I like the way that it also highlighted um, the place of things like the GCC annual autism conference. Where you can get an opportunity and just get a flashlight, some help, just some orientation, so that you can be on that road a lot better, so you can have an easier time. No, the book, I finished the book in one sitting, actually. Well, you had more or less like 2 sittings. I read the first part, I read a bit, then I read the rest, and I liked how everything came together for me. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Remy. I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
All right. So, I would like to, having read the book, I'd like to know what your response is to the story. And this is what I mean. So we know that when you see a person who is on the autism spectrum, you have only seen one person. Each case is different. So can you, in light of your response to the story, also share with us a brief glimpse to your own childhood?
Well, I'll just say um, I'm very fortunate not to be non-verbal. I'm so fortunate to be verbal. So very fortunate to be verbal. Um, I think that if the adults had been better informed, I think they probably would have been more patient with me. Yeah. I also think that well, let me say, everybody that I met came to me based on the experiences that they had. That's what they were using to us. That's what they were using to engage with me. First, there were those who just considered me a lot. There were those who found me interesting. Um, but I think in the end, my experience just mirrors where society had matured up to at that time.
Right. That's so valid. If you were to look back at yourself when you were 10 years old, you said a lot of things about, the level of awareness, the level of information that the adults and people around had, which shaped their relationship with you. So if you were to look back at your 10-year-old self, what would you have wished that you could tell your own friends, your peers about autism?
Well, you need to understand, we didn't know what autism. I'm older than the diagnosis, so
Hmm, I can understand that. So it means
uh,
it didn't start early. The diagnosis didn't come early enough.
I was 40 when I got diagnosed.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So, but I would say that if for any advice, I'd say create space. Just create space so that you can. There is something about, if it's a human being, there is something about them that will connect with you. That will connect with you, but you need to create. You can't just try and close in the space and force them to perform being normal on command. Um, there's a boy in Corona in the 80s. His name was Bogdan. Uh, Bogdan, with, based on what I've heard, Bogdan was just seen as the problem. They didn't see him as someone who needed help or someone who needed to be understood. They literally, because he was white, they just left him alone. Because they just go and just left him to his own devices. You know, but I think that if space had been held for him for them to observe and to observe him, and the humanity would have become a bit more obvious. But we're children. Children are just impatient. Every child wants it now, now, now. So yeah, but I think if anything, I'll just advise them to just create space for whoever it is you're talking to or whoever it is you are engaging with, and
What you said
just for
is
them, the
so.
light will come through. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. What you said about, I'm just going to pick on what you said about children being impatient sometimes. I think that again takes us back to the adults. It's up to the adults to help the children to behave appropriately, with other people. So there just needs to be a lot of information. Okay. So my next question will be, while reading the book, was there anything particularly that stood out for you that you particularly appreciated that made you to stop and think and you'd like to share with us?
Oof. So, wow. Well, there was a lot. Um, like I fought my bullies. Something in my head just felt nobody's coming to rescue you. So if this person is coming after you, just go after them first. So yeah, I think if anything at all, it's the courage at being so young, that the courage to organize a trip, to go somewhere because of the meaning behind completing that trip. Um,
That's so profound.
it is because it's a it gives you a courage that you can't borrow. You can't even pretend at it. If they were not so driven, after the Uber driver had dismissed us, like, I can't carry children without adults. This no go away. It would have stopped them, but they didn't. They didn't quit. They did not quit. And the other thing that is also important was that Mrs. Akonde in the book recognized the effort even before they had even told her how far they had come. She just saw that they were tired. They'd been through a lot of things that were very new to them just to get there. So I think an adult recognizing the effort. Yeah, I was into art a lot. I drew and colored a lot as a child, and it always helped. It encouraged whenever an adult would notice what I'd done, or if I'd showed it to them, they're like, "Ah, okay," and they'd ask questions about it. And that's how I just open up. I start telling up stories. This is about this person, but that adult attention, not just about what the child is doing, but what the child is going through as they are doing what they're doing. It makes for a very balanced adult in the later in the future. Yeah, you feel less invisible. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And finally, what would you like readers to understand about people on the autism spectrum after reading a story like A Hidden Light?
Okay. We're not different from you. We're not different from you. You know how light is light. It doesn't matter if it's red, yellow, green, blue. You know, the only difference is the arrangement. I was a science student, so the electron release arrangement for each of those shades of color. That's just it. We're just differently arranged neurologically. That's it. We are still the same light. We are still the same light. So instead of looking to see what could be improved or what could be optimized, people are not projects. So people are people. So they just be the person as they are. You can't project um you can't project what you think should be on a person. They will fail. So yeah, that's what
Thank you
I
so
take from
much.
the book. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You said that people are not projects, and that's super, super important because even every day, one person always thinks that they have the responsibility to control the other person, to change the other person, to make them feel into to a particular mode or a particular ideal that they have created. But people are never projects. Thank you so
No,
much for sharing that.
yeah,
It's important. Yeah.
I get why that is, because you
Okay.
want the person to be safe in society when you're not there. But it's not what you do, it's the perspective you have as you're doing it, as you're passing those things along. You know, if you literally ignore the person and keep saying, "This is how you're supposed to do it," you're not, you're not connecting now. You're not connecting. If you don't allow the person to make those connections themselves, well, you're not connecting. You're not passing anything along. You're just hoping for a monkey see, monkey do
And adding
situation.
to the problem, maybe.
Definitely adding to the problem. Yes.
Wow. These are really profound things that you have shared with us this evening. Thank you so much, Remy.
Thank you.
That was really powerful. And I think it is important that we all continue to create spaces where people on the autism spectrum are not simply spoken about, but are heard, respected, and included in conversations. I mean, you really cannot understand it if you're not in the shoes. So we always need somebody who is in the shoes. We need to be able to see from their perspective. And I think that, Remy, you did highlight that clearly to say, stop trying to make them perform. Stop trying to make them be a particular way, but try to understand. Just like we need to understand everybody. And you said another thing. You said we're not different from you. A light is a light. That's super powerful. Thank you so much for sharing and for giving your voice to this cause today. And this is where we come to the end of your own review. Please, in the chat room, kindly give a round of applause to Remy. Help us appreciate him. Thank you so much. So, up next, we'll be going to the author. Yeah, thank you very much, Remy. Yeah, we'll be going to the author. I'll be having a conversation with Bukola. Bukola, you're welcome back.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you. I've really enjoyed the two reviewers, and I was
yeah.
just smiling in the background.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So having heard from their different perspectives, I'd like to bring you back into the conversation. I like to hear from you, and I know everybody in the room would also like to hear from you. I want you to please tell us a bit more about this book, A Hidden Light, and what are the main themes in the book?
Okay, thank you so much, Ibukun. So there are several themes in the book, but the main theme, we have friendship, we have understanding autism. Now, the book has been written in such a way that a young person, a young adult, anybody will pick up that book and understand what autism is. Um, I think it was last week I had on Mrs. Akonde. She is the founder of Patrick Speak and Language Center in Lagos. She's not here with us today, but there's a 1 hour interview session with her. You can watch it on this channel. She spoke from the professional aspect, so we encountered the family, the Idowus, that they have a child on the autism spectrum and they didn't know what to do with this child. One funny part was um, because Mrs. Dotun Akonde was also written as Mrs. Dotun Akonde in the book. And she asked them if the child had a diagnosis, and they were like, how can I take my child to a psychiatrist or a psychologist? Is my child mad? The way the theme of stigmatization, even from the immediate family, for a person, on the autism spectrum or even any form of disability. You're hiding the child in the house. You're supposed to take this child to understand, how best you can help the child to even get a diagnosis where it is possible. So in our society, because the theme is around the African society, you see the wrong narratives about children on the autism spectrum. You see misunderstanding, and you see children being demonized. You see and oftentimes, the mother may be trying to like get help for the child or believe in the child. Then you see the man who is trying to protect, in quotes, the family name. Oh, you can't go there. What if somebody sees you? They'll start talking. Do you want them to talk about us? These are the real issues that are brought into this book. And we saw the sibling, the love. Siblings go through lots of emotions. We heard from Toyi. There's the emotion of fear, doubt, even depression. that is just silent within, words that the sibling cannot voice out to the next person because, in quote, this is our family secret. Nobody should know. We don't discuss these things outside. And the young child is holding so much, bottling so much, inside. Then, we have friendship. We see the issue of friendship coming together, finding help for the child. So there's so many things in this book that if I go on, I'll just tell the whole story and nobody will buy the book. It will go.
No, please let's not do that.
I hope with these few words of mine, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that A Hidden Light is top notch.
So I think at this point I should ask you, who do you think should read the book? Who is it most appropriate for?
So it's written like a children's book, but I would say everybody should read that book. You should get that book, like Tony said, like Remy said, one
Remy?
sitting, you would finish it because you just want to know. The one chapter leads to the next chapter, and you just want to know what happened, how it happened. The woos, how so it's a fun read and it's a nice little book.
Wow. And I can agree, I can attest to that. Thank you so much, Bukola. And at this point, I think it's a beautiful note which to begin bringing our conversation to a close. But before we do that, we'd like to take a few questions. So if there are people in the chat room who have questions, this is where you bring up your questions. I've been seeing your engagement. Thank you all so much for engaging. I'm going to read a few comments, but I'm really looking out for questions. So please drop your questions while I look through the chat. So yes, okay, I think people have put in their views at different points. Siblings of our special children are always amazing. My daughter is really helpful to her twin brother. That's Deborah Shaolo. Wow. Um, Motupe Onifade says more inspiration, my wife. Thank you for sharing. Um, we cry a lot. I guess that's from a parent, and it's understandable. It's a lot of weight to bear. So there's a lot of appreciation here to Toyin, to Remy. Okay. So questions, any more questions? It's definitely important to engage with kindness first and an open mind and heart. We know better now, so we can do better, but there's still a long way to go. The interesting thing about this kindness conversation and this control thing that I have realized is that it's even beyond the autism spectrum conversation. Everybody just thinks that there's a way to do life. I like the word that Remy used, saying if you know this, it will help you to navigate life better. And for some reason, we think that we have to control people. I think that generally, as a people, rather than trying to control or hand down uh, directions, it's better to be more curious about people, especially the unique people amongst us. Um, Everybody is light. It's just that the arrangement of the light is different, and we just should be curious. We shouldn't be so full of our own knowledge of our own selves that we don't have space to understand any other person. The forcing them, we should stop forcing them to perform normal. There's nothing normal. There's nobody that is even normal, or abnormal in that sense. We're just different. We're all uniquely made. Well done, Buki. Okay, this is a note to the author. Well done, Buki. Sounds like a fantastic book, a brilliant way to get people to know more. Absolutely. Thank you, Buki. I can't wait to enjoy the book. Thank you for blessing the world with it. Yes. Thank you so much. So we have about 10 minutes to the end of this launch. And so if there are no questions at this point, yeah, somebody's already waiting to enjoy the book. Yeah, so I think we should already go towards the official launch and unveiling of the book, right? Is that a good time,
Yes,
Bukola?
yes, yes,
Awesome.
yes.
So, if you're excited to get into this session of the launch, I want you to just put your favorite emoji in the room. I want you to put it there, drum rolls, everything. I want you to just put it there because this is the moment that we have been waiting for. I have thought it time and time again, and I heard a wise person say recently that Bukola Ayinde inspires, and that is so true because of the depth of the work that is being done by this amazing woman, to ensure that the society is as informed as possible when it comes to this topic of special needs, disability, autism, and every other thing that comes in between. And so at this point today, we celebrate not simply the completion of a manuscript, but the birth of a story that we hope will travel far beyond this virtual realm. A book is special because once it is published, it no longer belongs only to the person who wrote it. It becomes part of the lives of the people who read it. It's a different experience for them, and everybody has their own personal interpretation of it. And so today, we officially welcome a hidden light into the world. Please join me with a round of applause in the chat room. A hidden light, and to Bukola, I would like to say congratulations. To everyone in the room as well, I'd like to say congratulations. May this book reach the people who need its message. May it open hearts. May it challenge assumptions. May it encourage understanding. And may its light shine far beyond the pages. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world, a hidden light. Another round of applause. Thank you. I'm seeing it in the chat room. Let's see your virtual emojis, your rounds of applause. Thank you so much. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, I want you also to welcome with me the author as she tells us how to get this book. How do we get this book into the right hand? So if today somebody is already in the room waiting, I can't wait to read this book. How do I get it? Over to you, Bukola Inde.
Thank you so much, Abel Ibuku. Thank you, everyone. I'm so excited. Okay, so how can I get the book? There will be a meet and greet at Tose Exhibition Stand on the 3rd of September. The location is 10 Degrees Event Center at Oregon. And you can send a text. My number is 08035754038, or you can send an email, btainde@gmail.com, diary of the snmi@gmail.com. You could also watch social media handles for the stores around Nigeria, the one closest to you. The price per book is 7,000, and the account is written. I hope you can. Let me see. Yes. So the account is written there. You can take a picture of all the information. Also, we want everyone to partner with us. Don't just get a book, buy a second book, buy for your children's school's library, buy for the children in your church, in your neighborhood, your cousins, your nephews, your nieces, buy for everyone. And if you want to join us, to take this book around students in Nigeria, which will be having a conference very soon for secondary school students in Lagos on a hidden light. I mean, that will be posted later on our social media handles. You could follow me, Bukola Inde, on Instagram and Facebook. Diary of a Special Needs Mom Initiative on Instagram and Facebook as well. So you could take a picture of this. If you want to partner with us, send me a message, write an email, pay into the account, and we'll take a hidden light around Nigeria and beyond. Before I go, Ibuku, let me send my appreciation. Let me start by thanking God Almighty for making this possible. And let me thank my darling husband, Lawrence Ainde, for always, cheering me on, my sisters, my mother, my children, Oluwalonimi, who is my muse, and my daughter, Kwemi, all my families and friends, and especially Mrs. Dotu Akonde. She took her time in helping me to go through this book. I'll tell her, please check that this is not misinformation I'm putting out there. Is this correct? And she'll say, okay, let me see, let me write. So she did a great deal in ensuring that this book came to light. So I really want to appreciate Mrs. Dotsu Akode for all that, her support and her love for this project. And thank you to my darling Remy and Toyin, and of course, my beloved Ibuku. When I was translating Nimi, my name is Nimi. We translated the book to 6 languages with a Pidgin, German, French, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba. Ibuku actually translated the book to Yoruba. So please help me celebrate Ibuku. She's been following me on this journey for a long time. She translated My Name is Nimi storybook to Yoruba. So if you want that as well, it is available. So thank you very much to my lovely audience. I was just going through and I said thank you for the love, the support, for being here with me at this time for this virtual launch. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Over to you, Ibuku.
Oh, thank you so much, Bukola. And this is where we come to the end of today's program. Once again, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who has made this launch possible. To our author, Bukola Ainde, congratulations on this remarkable achievement. We're rooting for you. Please keep going. And we also want to say thank you to Mrs. Dotun Akonde in absentia, to Toyi, and to Remy, our reviewers of today. Thank you for partnering with us. And to everyone who joined us today, thank you for giving us your time and your attention. Thank you for joining us once again for this virtual launch of a hidden light. I know that each one of us will go on from today, of course, getting this book, sharing the message, but just as Bukola Ayinde has done, you also playing your part. One thing that would all agree to is the fact that awareness is so key to make this journey easier for everybody, both the people in it and the people around it. So let's all go on with our own candles, shining the light so that the hidden light no longer remains hidden, but little by little, with our own efforts, with our own contributions, we help the world to appreciate better this light that is hidden in plain sight. Once again, congratulations to you, Bukola Ayinde, and have a wonderful evening, everyone. Goodbye, and God bless you. Once again, my name is Ibuku Oyeniyi. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening.